feel like Gordon Bombay would have taken his career to even further heights.
Everything's flashy, everything's cocaine, everything's
Fun.
Open wide for some soccer!
I don't care what your personal thoughts are at home. I care that you hate the Cowboys.
Call this college rule!
Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Experience Podcast. I'm Chris. This is Dom. We're just a couple of comics who like talking sports. Please give all of our socials a follow, a like, a share, all of that stuff. Putting out some good content, so please help us out with that. And today we're back on the old pitch. We're talking soccer. One of the German legends. Who we got?
We got the Umlautinator. We got Jürgen Klinsmann, everybody.
That was beautiful. That just came together.
That starting to come together, Pepper. Starting to come together. Jürgen Klinsmann, born July 30th, 1964, in Göppingen, West Germany.
Yep.
Because hey, you're not reunited.
Nope.
There's no reunification. There's
Not
still
yet.
West German.
We'll talk about
It's in Baden-Württemberg in the southwestern part of even West Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So his dad, Siegfried, his mom was not named Roy. It was Martha. His dad was a master baker.
Yep.
Master baker.
A master baker. So you do get that title when you are recognized as a master baker. It's like just like a bigger title where he tried to get Jürgen to follow in his footsteps.
No, he had 4 sons, which also helped, I think, with that. Like, well, they can't all be bakers. They can't all be master bakers.
It's correct. But from the early age, you could tell Jürgen was a special soccer player. At age 8, he ended up scoring 16 goals in one game.
Oh, God.
And this is the thing that I don't like about American sports is that they're like, we're going to go up 3-0 and then we're going to stop. Like they were like, no. You're going to score as many goals as you can.
I love that.
And we're going to rub it in their face. And it's very German to just be like, don't cry. Don't you cry.
They are not here. Stop the ball.
Yes.
I want you to stop the ball or else things will happen.
Or else I will bring the master baker.
The master baker will come and bake you, if you know what I mean.
So when he was about 12, 13, his dad ends up buying a bakery in Stuttgart, which was actually really good for him because they have a bigger footballing scene.
I think it's the capital of Baden-Württemberg.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So,
but I just mean their soccer scene is just...
well, that's what I mean. There are more people.
Yes, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much. So he ends up, I think he was 14. He ends up signing for Stuttgart Kickers, which they were a second division team then. Now they're like fourth or, third, something like that. But his dad, like we were saying, made him finish his apprenticeship as a baker because this was in the time where soccer, you're not getting millions of dollars. You know what I mean? Where he's like, I want something for you to fall back on.
Guys, I can't play today. Why? Are you hurt? Nope. Got to take those cupcakes out of the oven.
Yep. Quit calling me Cupcake, guys.
Oh, my God. Cupcake.
God.
Ooh, Liebchen. Oh, man. I wonder if he took crap for that.
I have no idea because I've heard that he was kind of difficult in locker rooms.
Okay.
And I don't know if he was kind of... I don't know if that's looked at as a down thing to have that.
Oh, it's Jürgen.
Yeah.
Wo ist deine apron, ja?
Or were they like, dude, I wish I was a master baker. I have no idea.
I wish I could feed myself. We're not making that
Exactly.
much money here for Stuttgarter Kickers.
So 16, he turns pro, and it's pretty obvious that he is a really great striker when you look at just like this, because he almost
he's awesome.
He almost gets involved with the team right away. I mean, as their top sprinter, or I mean, as their top striker. And in this era, they have a sprinting coach on the Stuttgart Kickers that actually improved his sprinting. And they were saying that it made him so much more lethal. Like they cut something like 2 seconds off of his 40 or whatever they were doing.
Yeah, 100 meters he ran in 11 seconds.
That's what it was,
He got it
100.
down from 11.7 to 11, which for a white guy, I mean, you could push a bobsled.
And he constantly talked about how he would work on his sprinting because he wants to be first to the ball, all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely a good little growing part right here. After 2 years of playing for Stuttgart Kickers, he ends up going to Stuttgart, which is like the big
VfB, I saw, yep.
which is the big club there, and he's 18, and he is just obviously
He's better than everyone.
one of the
it
best
seems like.
strikers, in Germany. And they were saying he might have gotten like German Footballer of the Year if he was a little bit older, because he had like 15 goals his first season. They finished 10th, which isn't
Not great.
no, not the best, and not the best for them. They're like one of the top clubs,
Mm-hmm.
And then 85 he scores 16, 86 he scores 16. So this is when everybody kind of realizes, they're like, oh, this is our next
Superstar.
yes.
Like, this is our offensive Franz Beckenbauer.
Yes. And he really establishes himself, and like you almost see because this next year he makes his debut for West Germany.
Yeah.
So like
He was the top Bundesliga scorer I saw in 87, 88.
Exactly.
So, I mean, like, and he's 24 years old? I mean,
Yes,
that's
at this
the
point.
prime of his career.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to talk about the national team here?
Yeah,
in
we'll
88?
we'll talk a little national Euros.
The Euros.
This is West Germany goes to, I forgot where it was held that year.
Oh, I didn't write it down. I know he went to they won the Summer Olympics bronze there in 88.
The Olympics is weird.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
I've been figuring that out as we've been going through these soccer ones.
Because it's just not as much emphasis on it, so people are more focused on the Euros, and they ended up making the Olympics under 23 because they were like, we're not sending our best players there.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of like took that down. But yeah, he did win a bronze back when the full team would play. But then Euros, they end up losing to the Netherlands, and that'll come back.
Oh, yes, it will.
That'll come back in the 90.
The freaky deaky Dutch.
Oh, man, the freaky deakies. But he's really now becoming like the top striker throughout Europe kind of thing.
Yeah.
19 goals in 87, like you said. He had an overhead kick. I don't know if you saw that against Bayern.
Oh, my God.
That was
Holy cow.
so good.
Oh, jeez.
And it's, yeah, man.
German Footballer of the Year in 88.
They go to the UEFA Cup final.
Yeah, who do they lose to?
They lose, and we literally have done an episode like talking about this final where they lose to Maradona's Napoli.
Hurt his nose.
Yep. I was just gonna say this is before
All
Italy
of it came out.
Yeah, Italy turned on Maradona, so like he
Maybe
was.
you shouldn't say things about the host World Cup nation that you currently play in.
Yep, that was still one of my favorite quotes where he's like,
Oh, yeah.
this is where I used to play. Italians hate black people. You're just like, whoa,
Walter.
But like in the Maradona episode we were talking about, in Italy they have all of this money.
Yeah.
So they are like the richest league in the world at that point. So you see him.
Where's
like,
that money coming from?
We're not asking those questions. That's not what this podcast is about.
This is not the questions podcast. This
That's-
is not the morality podcast. God dang.
So he ends up moving to Inter Milan, which originally was a really good fit because he can play as a lone striker and still produce. And in Italy, it's defense first for every team.
Oh, yeah.
So
defense first, second, and third.
yes, exactly. So he still scores 13 goals in his first season, and they end up getting third. And there's a lot of positive, like going forward, like we were talking about in other episodes, where you're just like, oh, this team's building like they could get somewhere.
And he becomes a pretty popular player for them. He learns Italian. He kind of starts ingratiating himself into the culture there.
Well, I don't know if you know this about Italians, but they actually really do love when you are like, oh, I love this culture.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know what I mean? And he could speak fluid Italian. So this was back in the day where
They've been friendly with Germans before.
ooh. But this is back in the day when you would have an interview and they would respect it so much that you would answer in Italian, you know?
Exactly. They let's see, finished third in Syria that year. 1991, the UEFA Cup.
So now I was going to say, this is what they're kind of building towards. They win the UEFA Cup against Roma. He has 14 goals that season, and everybody's goal scoring tally will go down in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're so fucking offensive, and then everybody's so defensive.
It lies somewhere in the middle. But
Yeah, 90. We get into the World Cup.
yeah, 1990.
So West Germany
In Italy.
in Italy.
Maradona's saying stuff.
Yep, this is literally
doing stuff.
This is literally that episode. And
They get into the round of 16 against the Dutch.
yeah, they come back against the Netherlands and end up beating them in what, like...
Well, they said he was the only striker in the game because Rudy Viller was sent off.
Yes. And so they're down to 10 men, and he ends up scoring in like the 22nd minute or something like that. Which this is what they were saying was the German team was so good that they kind of like went on to have this like pretty ridiculous run, beating Czechoslovakia.
Mm-hmm. Not even a country anymore.
Well, that's why they literally
That's why.
beat them.
The Germans and Czechs have never had had issues.
Then beating England on penalties, which they do in so many major tournaments. It's almost a joke.
John Barnes was on this team, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
That's yes. And I think they've beaten Italy in England in major tournaments in penalties 3 times.
Oh, man.
It's so brutal.
Oh, man. Oh, Germans.
And they are known for being weirdly good penalty takers, you know?
They know how to execute penalties, those Germans.
Whoa. Whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
So we get to Argentina in the finals.
Maradona's
Who's
there?
on? But a coked up Maradona
Didn't they play in the finals in '86? Argentina and West Germany.
In West Germany, yeah. I
Yeah.
think so,
This is the rematch here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were flying cocaine in for Maradona.
You have to.
There's a point in this, and this is where he starts to get known for being a diver.
He's the LeBron James of the Bundesliga.
So an Argentine fullback comes in with a tackle. They say it was a dive. He ends up getting a red card, not Klinsmann, this other guy. And after the match, he just goes, "Oh yeah, let me show you the 15 centimeter scar or cut that I have from him hitting." And you're just like, "All right, maybe that wasn't a dive on that one." But
Take the fall, get hurt, act indignant.
Oh
One
my
more
God.
time. We're not saying it's wrong if Gordon Bombay
it's
says
so
it's
good.
right.
End up being Argentina 1-0. West Germany, wins that World Cup, and he solidifies himself as like a German legend.
Yeah.
Oh,
for sure. He's a hero in that country.
And then this is what I find so interesting. He comes back to Inter Milan.
They don't have a good season.
And they have a horrible season. And this is what I wanted to allude to was he was sometimes bad in the locker room where this is just rumor as to what happened was he really got the locker room to be fragmented into almost like German players because it was him and 2 other German players.
Oh, no.
Italian players and then everybody else kind of thing. And they said it was like
Christ.
the locker room was just so divided. The coach had to be fired even though he wasn't like doing bad or like, you know what I mean? They had to bring in a different coach.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, man, it was a bad season.
So from 92-94, he moves on to AS Monaco there in the French league.
Yep.
Do you want to do the Euro 92s or do you want to get into just his career there for Monaco?
We'll just go straight into because Euros they didn't really do well.
No, I mean they were beat by previous episode that 2 of them we did in the 92 Euros by the Danes. So 91 and 92 I believe are the episode numbers.
Yeah, it was that Danish superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he moves to Monaco, which is Monaco as a club is weird because they're really rich, but they're really bad.
So they're like the Mets.
Yes, because they're just a rich part of France.
Well, obviously.
They end up getting second the first year he plays, and Marseille has a bribery scandal at that point.
Wait. Soccer leagues have bribery scandals in them?
Never happened in Italy.
Never. Not once.
Not one.
God.
It's not even currently happening. So they end up getting technically they would like be considered champs, so they end up going to the UEFA Cup.
The Champions League in 93-94.
Yeah. And
lose to Milan.
Yeah, lose to eventual champs Milan. And then this is something that kind of constantly is happening. I feel like it was more in Inter Milan than AC Milan is they have a bad season again. And he just comes out and criticizes his teammates and coach. So they end up getting like 9th. And he had like another year or 2 on his contract, but he was
Didn't he get hurt too?
Yeah, he was out for like 2 months.
Okay.
But he was so kind of like problematic if they weren't winning. You know, he had that mentality.
I mean, why doesn't he just make them some cookies?
That's true.
I mean, that always
He's a master baker.
That just patches up everything. With
So
sugar.
94 he goes to Tottenham, which is he's not received well.
His reputation as a diver, I kept reading. They didn't like him.
Well, there was an article written before he started his first game. It said, "Why I hate Jürgen Klinsmann." And then he became, and people say, like, this is one of his best seasons.
Yeah.
And literally, like, 6 months later, the guy wrote another article saying, "Why I love Jürgen Klinsmann."
Talk about your all-time backfires.
Well, they in Tottenham, they felt like they overpaid for him. They felt like he wasn't going to, like, be in this English style, which especially then, England was like one of the rougher leagues.
Well, I mean, you got Vinnie Jones out there grabbing testicles.
testes.
Yeah, I mean, come on now.
You got it.
He did win the 95 Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year.
But I want to bring up 94 World Cup.
Oh, yeah, we got to do 94 World Cup.
So
That's
he ends
true,
up moving.
yes.
He ends up moving to Tottenham in this kind of off season.
Guess what, everybody? In 94, it's a one Germany team. There's not
I was
two
just
of
gonna.
them.
I wanted to bring this up. So it's a unified Germany. Hasselhoff literally's voice broke down a wall.
That piano key scarf must live on in history. It's like, I mean, it's so important. The light up leather jacket.
Yep.
Just the talking car. Sorry.
So 94 World Cup in the U.S. Unified Germany doesn't do great.
No.
Klinsmann has 5 goals in, I think, 4 games.
Because they're not in the tournament for super long post group stage.
Well, that's why I think they got knocked out round of 16. So, like, and people were saying this. They were like, well, if they had gone to the finals, he probably could have had the goal scoring record because he was like scoring in every game.
This was the Baggio one, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Italy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So but 5 goals. I think you're right. I think they only played like 5 games.
Yeah. So it is a good goal scoring record. Germany just doesn't have that kind of team together. But I remember watching him as a kid because he was just so good as a striker.
I mean, he's a wizard in the kitchen and a wizard on the field, Chris.
That's all we needed.
Wizard in the bedroom, probably also. But
so and then we get back to Tottenham. He has 21 goals. He literally becomes like iconic for them. He's one of the most popular jersey sales in all of.
That's pretty cool to do that in England of all places.
Well, it's interesting because Tottenham wasn't the biggest club then, and for him to coming off of the World Cup, having a good World Cup, and then he dominated, and then I think they said he sold 150,000 shirts. So it was a shit in 1 year because he only played 1 year for them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then the next couple of years, he's with the FC Bayern there.
I was going to say, so this is where a lot of people thought he should have gone
out the gate,
or from Inter Milan.
Oh, okay.
So from Inter, people were like, you probably shouldn't have gone to AS Moscow or AC Moscow, whatever that team, or Monaco. And then going to Tottenham was surprising, and then he dominates, and then they're like, all right, now you're going to come to Bayern, and
come home to the fatherland.
Yes.
Jürgen.
Well, because and I do want to say this because a lot of players have problems moving league to league. Like their skill set doesn't translate. He was one of the best scorers starting in Germany, then in Italy, then in France. He had a great scoring record, and then in England.
Well, he played in like 4, like you said, that's like 4 of the top leagues.
Yeah, that's 4 of the top 5.
World.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god!
And he scored in all of them and was a prolific striker in literally all of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 95. He moves to Bayern. Top goal scorer. They are not the Bayern you see now, which is just dominating the league, but they are really good. Mm-hmm. 96, he does the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. And they end up going to the UEFA Cup and winning against Bordeaux.
Wow.
Or whatever, that French team that you will never hear about in the Champions League again. Because this was back when, like, just lesser financially rich teams were able to make
Yeah,
it. Now it's
put it all together for one season.
Yep.
And like
Literally.
live in that.
Now it's all money, y'all.
It's all money.
And then won his first Bundesliga, which he still says outside of the World Cup is probably his favorite trophy.
He's German. I mean,
Yes.
I would figure winning the Bundesliga means more than a Serie A or
Well, more than the UEFA with them, because
yeah.
he said that he was just like, that was one that I envisioned myself winning as a kid.
Well, that's what I mean. That's something you as a kid think of.
Yes.
Like, this is the one. This is the biggest thing even over the rest of the world.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I have to kind of commend that kind of mental thought, because he really was top across Europe for so many years, and then one of his last seasons with Bayern, they end up winning the Bundesliga.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think the next couple of years he's in Italy, and then he goes back to Tottenham, right?
No, so he goes to Italy, he goes to Sampdoria
Okay.
for 4 months.
Oh yeah,
so
that's
it was
what it is. Yeah, okay.
It was such a weird thing that he just didn't click with this team, and the team was so like, yeah, we'll get you off the books.
Yeah.
And he ends up going to Tottenham, and this is in '98. And this is why he means so much to Tottenham, was he goes there in the winter to play the second half of the season.
That's dope.
And pulls them out of relegation.
Yes, yeah.
And this is right when the big TV deal comes in.
Oh man, so he
So-
might have saved this team.
If they had gone down, and this has happened to teams in England before, they could have been a second division team when the money comes in, and then they kind of get screwed out of it.
Like Leeds almost, like we talked about,
Yep.
right? Like where it just all went away.
Yeah, as soon as you get relegated, you're just like, well, we're screwed.
And it's gone.
And it's gone. So, like, he scores a couple against Wembley, back when Wembley's team was really good, to secure their non-relegation, and it just with the timing of it,
Yeah.
it really helped this club, because now Tottenham's a top 5-6 team in England, and back then it was everybody was fighting to stay in that top division, because they're like, dude, the money's coming.
Once we just need to make it.
Yeah,
make it
we
to
just
the
need to
finish
hold
line.
on, that was why the Leeds thing was so surprising, because they were like literally top 3 club, and then the money came in and they were just like, phew, like it was so brutal.
So after that, 98 World Cup.
98
We
World
wanna
Cup,
talk about that.
he's on his decline.
Well, oh no, we didn't talk about the 96 Euros.
Oh, 96 Euros.
Yes. So plays in the 96 Euros, has 3 goals, and Germany's united. We must point that out once again. And what happens, Chris?
They go all the way, baby.
They beat the Czech Republic. It's not even
I was
Czechoslovakia
going to say,
anymore.
this is the other thing I love about European soccer, where you're like, well, that was half that nation,
Yeah, right.
and we beat them.
We doubled up while they got cut in half.
He wasn't the out-and-out striker, because, like, you see the 94 World Cup, you see the 90 World Cup.
Yeah.
He was, like, their central striker. I think they were playing 2 at this time, so that's why you see him only have 3 goals, but they were the best team in that 96 Euros. Beating the Czech. I think that was the first major tournament for Czech Republic and they got to the finals, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, definitely. 98 World Cup, he has another 3 goals again.
They get knocked out, I think, quarterfinals in this one.
Yeah, to Croatia.
To Croatia.
Yeah.
Well, it's this one nation that had to break apart.
Yeah. They have all of these places didn't exist in the 1990 World Cup.
Yep.
But anyway, after his illustrious playing career,
He has a illustrious coaching career.
yes, he does indeed.
That's what was kind of interesting, and I felt like we were kind of barreling through the playing career, but like he literally has 2 careers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like sometimes we'll talk about a coach. This guy was a coach and a player. So
a very great. He's one of the few that you can be a very great player, but also a very good coach, as we'll get into.
because sometimes that doesn't translate.
no, not at all.
Takes over the German team,
2004.
which a lot of people thought was too big of a job out of the gate.
Yeah.
He was heavily criticized in Germany for a bunch.
For sure.
Throughout his whole coaching in German. So, like, he has... so he said in 94 when he went to the U.S., he thought it was one of the best places. He wanted to move there. So he has a house in the U.S., and I think his wife is from the U.S.
Yeah, his wife's.
So he would travel back and forth from Germany to the U.S., and
a lot of Germans did not like that. They did not like him commuting. And like, if you're going to coach our team, why don't you live here?
Why don't you live here?
Why don't you open up your own bakery here? You know, maybe do something like that. Being an American, like,
and he lived in California, so it was a very far trip. You know.
Well, yeah, it's like a 12-hour flight. I mean, like, to do your job, are you getting in that much effort? And he ruffled some feathers as far as putting together the team that I read.
And a lot of
they were coming up off a shitty 2004 Euros.
Yes,
I had also read about that.
He was doing this thing where he was rotating the goalies. Where
that's not a good decision.
They had, this was my only thing, is they had 2 of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world. So they had Oliver Kahn and they had Jans Lehmann, who were just like really good, but Oliver should have been the number 1 pick, and he was getting pissed off with rotating.
Yeah,
he was like, "Why am I being rotated out? Like, this is crazy."
It's like we talked in the Roger Craig one when you have Joe Montana and Steve Young.
Yes,
just pick one.
Yes,
but you got to pick one guy.
It really was like that. So it kind of was a little fracture, and just so much shit talking about stuff that he would do that he said he was just like, because we'll get into the World Cup, but he was just like, for a while, I thought that was going to be my last coaching job.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was so much media pressure.
And he was picking younger guys for the team, too. He was really focusing on younger players and molding this roster with them.
He moved some of the old guard out that he had actually played with in 98. So that's what he was saying. He was just like, dude, your guys are done.
Thought we were friends, Jürgen.
Yep.
Douche.
So 2006 World Cup.
He surprises. They surprise. I mean, granted, it's in Germany, so this is a huge deal, and I think that's probably why people were getting really testy leading in. Is like, yo, this is here. We need to put on a show for the rest of the world and show them we're pretty awesome.
And they just didn't know how good of a team they had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the expectations were low coming off of the pad Euros.
Lowered expectations.
And they did better than everybody thought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the big thing, is like they literally
they swept the group stage in this tournament. I mean, they destroyed people.
And get all the way to semifinals.
Yes, they do.
Lose
July 4th, 2006. I remember watching this.
Yep. Lose to eventual champs, and then go to the 3rd place game, which...
Who are the eventual champs of that tournament, Chris?
2006?
It was a great game.
Yeah.
It was one of the most exciting games. I even told my dad afterwards, I'm like, if that was every soccer game, I would watch soccer every day. It was awesome.
Well, I remember watching that in Hawaii.
Really?
Because for whatever reason, my parents' friends had like a house there and said we could go stay there for like 2 weeks.
Dope.
And I was like, oh man, the finals are on in that 2 weeks. So yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's so cool. But yeah, they go to the 3rd place game against Portugal, right?
Yes, against Portugal.
And who's playing goalie?
For Portugal or for Germany?
For Germany.
Oh, Jans.
No,
right?
he plays Kahn in goal in that 3rd place game.
You're right.
Yeah.
Because he had picked... You're right. He had picked Jans as the number 1 going in, and everybody thought... Because Kahn was old.
Yeah.
He was... And I'm not even kidding. I think he was like 38.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he picks him. They end up beating him 1-0, I think. And the thing that I was good for Germany was they actually really celebrated that tournament, because they were like, oh, we thought we were going to be horrible.
Yeah, like this went a hell of a lot better than anyone could have ever expected.
Yes.
Like, I mean, to lose in extra time in the semifinals, they could have won that game.
It's brutal.
It's just,
but that's
the knife.
That's soccer where you're like, jeez.
They thought they were going to bring him back. He got all these votes of confidence from important people.
Beckenbauer said, and that was the thing that he said. He was like, I get that we had a good tournament and they want me to come back, but it was so bad leading up to it that he was like, no, I'm not doing that.
So he resigns July 11th, 2006. Said he wanted to go do family things, but then by 2008, he's involved in soccer again.
Well, I think Bayern came in with just too good of a deal, you know. So he ends up coaching Bayern Munich for a couple of years. I think he ends up doing it from 2007 to 2009.
Yes, that's what it is.
And it just didn't flow. You know what I mean? There are high turnover rates with soccer coaches, but I don't think he's a great club coach. I think he's a great national team coach.
Beckenbauer said it was the most dreadful I've ever seen a Bayern team.
Yes.
And he's like Mr. FC Bayern,
Yes.
right? Like as far as their history goes.
It just, the philosophy he was trying to put on the pitch just wasn't, it just didn't translate. You know what I mean? So like after this Bayern gig, now everyone's like, oh, is he still going to coach?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the question, because he had the two biggest jobs in Germany, and now it's like, what's he going to do now? He goes and coaches an MLS team for like
Not very long.
6 months.
Yeah.
It was Toronto FC, and then I wonder if, because the U.S. soccer collective is very like on top of each other, a little bit conspiring, and they were like, let's see how he is for this team, and then if he does okay, we're going to bring him on to the national team, because that's where he goes, is he ends up coaching U.S. for the 2014 World Cup.
And he has much like he did in Germany, he kind of alienated some of the older players who helped kind of build American soccer.
Well, he also did this thing where he brought in 2 or 3 German national people and got them
Jürgen Americans, I read.
and got them to have dual citizenship. They actually were playing, I think 2 of them were playing in the MLS at the time.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't like he like had them come, they were like living here.
They were American service dads and German moms.
Oh yeah, that too.
So yeah, it wasn't like they were like technically not like just going into a country and stealing the best players.
People do it to Brazil all the time.
My God.
That's not even a joke.
Oh, do they really?
Oh yeah.
They like go in like Liam Neeson Taken style and like
If you're Brazilian and you play in a league for a while, they're always like, do you want to? Because you can't.
Oh my God.
You can't get in the Brazilian team. So you'll be literally one of the best players in the league, but you're not good enough to get on the Brazilian team. So then this league will just be like, we'll give you dual citizenship.
Bring your family.
Yeah.
Bring your wife.
So they said this because it's one of the first times that kind of happened with like a U.S. team where we brought in like almost mercenaries.
I'm not going to lie to you though, Chris. For soccer, you need mercs in this country.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, you need mercenaries. Like, I mean, if we were doing this for football, I'd be a little bit like, okay.
Yep.
But soccer, it's not a bad idea.
No,
no one had ever tried it before.
And they had an okay World Cup, but there was definitely holes. And the one thing that I don't like about Jürgen is he's too German with his responses.
Yep.
So
yes, he is.
They literally asked him before the World Cup, they were like, well, do you think U.S. has a chance of winning? Every other coach is just going to be like, of course we have a chance. That's why we're coming.
Yeah.
He just goes, no, I don't think we're going to win. And they were like, okay. And he was just like, there's just too many better teams.
It's like German fairy tales being so depressing. And you're like, wow, I'm glad they Americanized these.
Yes.
God.
Because that's how his reaction is, because he's like, he's not talking shit. He's literally like, no, we're not good enough to win right now. Like
we're going to give 100%. But
yeah.
Guess your best wasn't good.
And he ended up not playing Landon Donovan.
No.
That was probably the biggest mistake, I think, because Donovan took a year off of soccer, and he said he wasn't in the right mental state or whatever, but Donovan was like, I was injured.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a major injury. He was just like, dude, I just needed my body to rest. That was a mistake going into the World Cup. I think the mercenaries were actually a good thing because they were like shored up our midfield. But like you said, we just weren't good enough to.
No. And then we get into some 2018 qualifying for the World Cup.
For U.S.
Through the U.S. 2018, because later South Korea.
Later South Korea.
Yeah.
That's when we didn't make it.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. I totally spaced on that right now, where I was just like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Because after the World Cup, everybody thought like he was our coach going forward. This is good. It fell apart so quick. I mean, they were losing to soccer teams they shouldn't be losing to. Well, I think we lost to Jamaica. I can't remember who, but we lost to a team in which I don't think we had ever lost to.
Oh gosh,
to Seal not getting.
I think it was like Costa Rica or someone, maybe. I don't remember. But yeah, no, they end up not making the World Cup, and he's
for the first time in
since probably
years.
1990,
Yeah.
1994. So yeah, so he's out.
Yeah.
He's out. He needs a new job in South Korea. Like
South Korea.
And
20,
how did that go?
Not great. And this is because it's not that he's a bad coach, I feel like, but the situations just aren't great for him. Bayern was bad. Germany was good. U.S. World Cup was actually good, but I feel like there was mistakes. And then you get into the qualification and not qualifying. That was really bad, especially because we have one of the easiest qualifying.
That's what I was also going to say. Is it's not like it's not like you're in South America,
exactly,
scratching and clawing your way to like actually get in the dance.
The easiest is
you're playing against countries that are named in the Kokomo song by the Beach Boys.
We're playing against banana republics.
The stores.
The easiest is the Australian thing, or Australian, that whole region. But we literally have the second easiest by far, and it was humiliating because we're supposed to be in North America the soccer elite.
Yeah, for sure.
And we weren't.
We were not. We were not. But we get to make it in the next one automatically.
That's true.
That's true. So February 27, 2023, takes over as South Korean head coach. Did not take on a lot of the K-League One guys into his team. He ruffles feathers wherever he goes.
Yeah, he really, because like we were saying, he really picks his own team, where a lot of the times when coaches come in, they almost have guys established in this, and he was like, oh, I don't care about that.
Nope.
I don't think this player is better than this player. And yeah, I kind of agree with him, but it really, on national teams, it really does not ingratiate yourself to the team.
And you piss off the fans of said nation, so if you don't win, it's going to be a lot of bad news.
So he's not coaching right now. German Hall of Fame.
Still one of the best soccer players to come out of Germany.
One of the best strikers, maybe one of the best strikers of his era. There were some great strikers in that era.
That's true.
Jürgen.
Jürgen.